Good morning, everyone. It's Austin from Urban Sadhu Yoga. And the other day, a student asked me about Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and if Patanjali has anything to say about racism. And so Patanjali does have something to say about racism, but he's not going to talk about it in the same context that we're having the discussion right now about racism. He's not going to use the same language that we're using, but he does clearly point out that all humans have the capability of creating harmful identifications and hatred of the other. Racism arises from primal instincts of clan association, tribal association, and seeing others as outsiders that could do us harm. Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras would say that's a completely false narrative and a projection based upon our prejudices and our preferences that stem from Kleshas. Patanjali gives us 5 different kleshas that we have to overcome as humans so that we can start to achieve this thing called yoga. The first klesha he gives us is avidya. Avidya is sometimes translated as ignorance, but it can also be translated as misidentification. Asmita is that egoism that comes out of the identification with the body, the mind, my physical presence in the world. And Raga is the attachment to that misidentification. And Dvesha is the hatred that comes out of my misidentification to others around me that don't identify the same way that I'm identifying with. And Abhinivesha, the fear of death or ending, would be the fear that that identification or that thing that I'm identifying with isn't going to be able to reign supreme or last forever. I think that when you really look at these 5 kleshas, the one that stands out to me is Dvesha, hatred, because hatred is something only that the human animal can do. No other species on the planet is capable of hatred. And racism is a form of lacking unconditional love and compassion for other beings. Now, Patanjali prescribes the 8-limb system, including yamas and niyamas, to overcome these kleshas. So someone who has a steady yoga sadhana is working on overcoming these obstacles and boundaries that we all have. Once we overcome these 5 kleshas, we really start to tap into the ability to offer empathy, compassion, unconditional love, and see ourselves in others and see others in ourselves, ending otherness, which would end racism because we would not be identifying with the finite body, the clan, the tribe, the limitations of just my physical form. It's also important to note that this will only work if we're practicing a dedicated yoga sadhana, and that yoga sadhana is working on one person at a time. So it really is me wanting to overcome my own obstacles and my own boundaries. It's important to point out that the yoga sadhana is not something to apply to the masses of society that aren't practicing yoga. So we can only end this within ourselves. I hope this added some insights to this topic.